Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
This is The Lock Shop. No Dusty, no Huss. It's Matt Iwanyk, it's Pat Gregoire, and it's Pat's dog, apparently. Am I hearing the dog?
Dogs are barking. Dogs.
How many dogs do you have?
No, I just meant a dog is barking. That means that it might be time to bet on the dogs, but not tonight, not Monday Night Football. I am not rolling with the Saints. I'll tell you that for free.
Minus 14. It's a nice big number for that one, but I think you could probably give a little bit more. Lots to get to in Lock Shop today. It's the final Lock Shop before we hit our Christmas break. No Lock Shop tomorrow. The Lock Shop will return next Monday, December 30th. It was a very, very busy weekend in sports. Will Fraser and myself, Friday on the morning show, we're just talking about like everything that was happening in like a span of, 2.5 days here in Edmonton. Even there was 2 Oiler games. You had the slate of NFL. You had college football playoffs. You had Usyk Fury. So much was happening. But let's start in the National Football League, Pat, because we got a lot to get to. We got to look also ahead to the NFL week next. The upcoming week that starts on Christmas Day. And we'll start with the games on Saturday. Chiefs Texans, a pretty exciting football game. But the Kansas City Chiefs, they always find a way to get that win, don't they? They just do enough to get that victory.
Yeah, it's hard to take that away from them. Good teams find ways to win, but it's getting annoying. It's getting really annoying, especially as a Bills fan. They find a way to pick up another victory. They cover the spread this time, which I know a lot of folks were betting on the Texans. I was on the Chiefs. Huss got the Chiefs in earlier in the week when they were actually underdogs when Patrick Mahomes was listed as questionable. Obviously, if you saw him scrambling in the pocket, if you saw him score that first touchdown, that ankle was fine. He was totally fine. Chiefs find a way to win. They keep rolling. Texans show a little bit of life here, but if I'm a Houston fan or if I have any futures on the Houston here, I would continue to be worried that this team is not where we expected them to be, especially, the injuries continue to pile up. Nico Collins finally comes back, and then now Tank Dell. That was a scary situation.
Awful injury.
You can see how affected everyone on the Texans were, especially Stroud. The fact that he was able to kind of gather himself and play was pretty impressive. That's a tough injury and a tough loss for the Texans.
Do the Texans, they don't scare you right now? Like, I'm a Ravens fan, and I know I've got them this week. And there's just something about that I just like, maybe it's what we expect from them, that I'm just worried about that ceiling that they can have, even though maybe they haven't reached that ceiling this season.
Well, sure, in the back of your mind, it's like, okay, once everyone gets going, man, this team could be scary. But CJ Stroud, even with him having nearly 250 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, he still has those boneheaded interceptions. He still holds on to the ball way too long. I feel like he has really, really regressed. Sure, he can turn things around, but he's got not much time to do it. Maybe it scares me a little bit that Joe Mixon is a guy that can gash you on the ground, but the Chiefs did a really good job of containing him. I think it was 50-something yards on 14 carries. Tank Dell obviously out now. So Nico Collins, how healthy is he? He's looked great at some time since he's come back. Yesterday, he was just okay. I just don't know if they have the weapons to go up against teams like the Ravens, like the Chiefs, like the Bills. I feel like they're that next tier in the AFC, but the 3 other teams I listed, I feel like are on just a different level when it comes to the weapons, the depth, the championship pedigree when it comes to the Chiefs, the playoff experience from the other 2 teams who obviously haven't been able to get over the hump, but they've been here before. So that's the one thing that, Texans really don't scare me as maybe the Chiefs or the Ravens would if, me being a Bills fan.
Well, like you and I are in unique positions here. You're a Bills fan. I'm a Ravens fan. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, which of those 2 teams do you think they fear more of?
Probably the Ravens.
Okay, but they have the Ravens number.
They have the Bills number too in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They have both of them. They're probably not afraid of either, to be quite frank. I think the Bills have had that path to victory in the regular season. They've had closer games with the Bills. The Bills have come close to beating them. I'm sure they probably know obviously you have to play one of them. And I don't think they're scared of this, but maybe, the one thing is the only issue I think when you look at these two teams is, the ground game has been so good this year for both teams. The Chiefs' run defense has just been phenomenal. So, which quarterback scares you more with their arm? Is it Lamar, or is it Josh Allen? That's maybe the question that you have. Or is it the defense? Do they feel like because the secondary of the Ravens is so poor that Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to pick them up? Or is it the run defense of the Bills? They think that they're going to be able to run all over them with Pacheco and Hunt. And I mean, we even saw Mahomes put up 30-odd rushing yards. I really don't know. I don't think they're scared of either. But I think if you had to guess, maybe it's the Ravens. But you bring up a great point as well.
Yeah, well, see, Lamar hasn't been able to get it done really against the Chiefs. At least the Bills, they have the regular season win from this season, right? Like if these two teams ultimately meet in an AFC Championship game between the Bills and the Chiefs, at least there's that seed of doubt a little bit in the Chiefs going, this team beat us. Now they could also then just say, because they'll likely be at Arrowhead, well, we were on the road for that one. But then the flip side for the Bills, they could, like, Josh Allen could look at that room and be like, boys, we beat this team this year. We know how to beat this team. We can get this done. And like, where do you come out on the Chiefs? Are they one of the worst 14-1 teams we've kind of seen that are kind of lucky to be here? Or are they just a team that they're just doing what they need to get the wins, and they'll turn it on more when they need to, when the games matter just that much more in January? Which side do you go on that debate?
For me, it's again, until they prove you that they're not going to be able to do it, you have to assume that they have that next gear. They figure out ways to win. They've done it. This is by far the least impressive they've looked, but we've seen them sleepwalk through regular seasons before. We've seen them. Heck, last year they lost to the Raiders late in the season. Like, they've had these hiccups before. It's just when it comes to the playoffs, they turn it on. The big players come out to play, and Andy Reid has a masterclass of a game plan for this group. So, sure, as a Bills fan, I feel a little more confident going up against this Chiefs team going into the playoffs. Going in Arrowhead, you're never confident, but this is probably the least impressive group that we've seen from Kansas City before. But as long as number 15 is throwing on that jersey and Andrew Reid's on the sideline, you always have a seed of doubt in the back of your mind, no matter how confident you think your team is. It's still the Chiefs, and they're the champs for a reason.
We'll get to the Ravens Steelers right away here, but let's just go to the Bills. A close game against the New England Patriots, a game where I don't think a lot of people thought it would be that tight. What happened to the Bills in that one? What did you like? There's no cause of concern for that. Is there's anything that comes up that you're just that maybe like, oh, that's not good, or is it just that it was a close game, division battle?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think there was cause for concern when the Patriots jump out to a 14-0 lead, and it looks like, oh God, this Bills defense really is in trouble. They gave up 40-plus points to the Rams, and then they give up 40-plus points to the Lions. Mind you, two pretty good offensive teams. But then when the Patriots just dog walk them in the first quarter and a half, you're starting to get concerned. But then in that second half, they only gave up 7 points. The defense came up huge, turnover after turnover. So I think, of course, grain of salt, it's the Patriots. It's a rookie Drake May. I think you can be happy with that second half performance. Say, okay, that's good. Where the concern definitely comes in is the offense really went quiet. They had an opportunity to be the first team to put up 30-plus points in, I think it was 7 or 8-plus games or something like that. Josh Allen obviously looked like he was shaken up. He said it was his funny bone. We already know on his non-throwing hand, he's been dealing with a broken hand this entire season. So, you got to give credit to the Patriots. They had a great game plan. They slowed down the passing game when it came to the Bills and Josh Allen. But James Cook still put up 100 plus rushing yards. He was pretty effective in the passing game as well. So grain of salt, I think you just say, hey, a win's a win. It's been a while since the Bills have had a little bit of a sleepy game in quite some time. It's been like a lot of like big time games that they've gone up against, coming off that emotional win with the Lions. And then, a tough game against the Rams, that Monday nighter against the 49ers. Like, it's been a lot of really, really hyped up games. And you could see this could have been a letdown spot for the Patriots, even though they're an in-division rival. And I think, I know they're 13-12, but I thought the Patriots actually looked pretty good yesterday going up against a pretty good Buffalo Bills squad.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you look at, I remember, I think it was you and I were talking about it quite a few weeks ago, where it's, it was Chiefs, 49ers, especially expecting a little bit more from the 49ers. I know that this past week, officially eliminated from the playoffs, a disappointing year for them, but then the Rams and the Lions, it was a big stretch for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
And it almost seems just natural that maybe you go in, not necessarily disrespecting your opponent, maybe not fully just being like, yeah, they're nothing, but feeling maybe like this will be a little bit easier than what we've had to deal with. And that was the window opening for the New England Patriots to jump on to that lead with the Buffalo Bills. We had a NFL writer, Mike Taniera, on the morning show earlier today, and he brought up also for the Buffalo Bills, although one thing that they'll have to watch for going to the playoffs is they seem to have a little bit of a tendency at times to just give up that big lead early. And against the team like the Patriots or something like that, yeah, you could come back. But if you fall down 2 touchdowns or something against the Chiefs or the Ravens or something like that, it's going to be a lot harder for this Bills team to make that comeback, because those good teams, they'll find a way to just keep that difference there. And maybe that's the one concern for the Buffalo Bills going to the playoffs right now, is just slow start sometimes. Fair?
Yeah, it's beyond fair. I think slow starts for the defense have been an issue as of late. The slow starts for the offense really hasn't. Like, that's actually one thing that this Bills team has done pretty well is coming out firing and putting up some points right away. The defense, though, has been an issue when it comes to those slow starts. Even if you look back to their home opener against Arizona had them on the ropes in the first half. They come back and win pretty comfortably. It is a credit to Sean McDermott and Bobby Badgett, the defensive coordinator, for making those in-game adjustments and coming out and having a much stronger second half. Like, you look at through game after game, they've been much better in the second half. But like you said, you can't wait to the second half to make those adjustments. You got to figure out a way to adjust on the fly, to come out hot, because yeah, you're right. The Chiefs, the Ravens, heck, if you want to say a team like Houston, like, those teams aren't going to allow you to. And one thing the Patriots did really well was, for that first half, keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands, keep the ball out of that offense, to not allow them to have that counter punch. Like, that second drive where they scored that 14, their second touchdown, like, it was a long methodical drive. That's what teams will do, especially the Chiefs. We're seeing that this year. They can score quick, but they're also scoring on those long drives, and that's momentum killers. That's an easy way. You want to keep the ball out of the other team's playmaker hands. That's what you can do. And if you go down 14, teams can really make you pay that way.
Ravens, Steelers, they met on Saturday. As the Chiefs, Texans, those 4 teams played Saturday. They'll all play Christmas Day. Ravens, and with the bigger win than you typically see between when these two teams meet, 34-17, doubling up the Steelers, but getting 10 points in the fourth quarter to close it all out. Bigger deal for the Ravens getting this win, or a big deal for the Steelers in the loss? Like, who's the story for you? Is it the Steelers or the Ravens?
I think it's the Ravens. I really do. I think a lot of people kind of been disrespecting this group for the last few weeks. And I think this is a win where everyone and their cat was on the Steelers to at least cover this thing, because you look at the history, you look at Lamar against the Steelers, you look at Tomlin against the Ravens, you look at just the division and the cover rate for the underdogs. I think this was a prove-it point for the Ravens, not only to come out with a win, but close it out in dominant fashion. Yeah, a couple bonehead plays by Russell Wilson that really sealed the deal for them, but this defense has looked a lot better in the last couple of weeks. The secondary came up with a couple of big plays. I think the Ravens need to peak at the right time. They started out really hot. They went through that mid-season lull, I guess you could say. But, I was thoroughly impressed with the win. I was on the Steelers, not to win the game, but at least to cover it. I thought it was going to be this game would come down to a field goal. It didn't, and I think the better team won. And, now this is going to be an interesting race down the stretch for these two teams with the final two games to go to see who wins the division.
Yeah, like it comes down like this is a big week because Steelers, Chiefs, Ravens, Texans. The Ravens absolutely need the Chiefs to get this victory because then if they can knock off the Texans, they're in pole position going to the last game of the seasons where both the teams, they get Bengals, Browns, each of them gets a divisional team. But if the Ravens, if they can't beat the Texans, even if the Chiefs happen to win the game, they're in a tough spot to get it because I'm not gonna. I was mad at the NFL tiebreaker rules. I learned them yesterday a little bit. The CFL, if you're tied through a season series, so if Elks Riders, it's a 1-1 season series. It goes to a point differential in those two games. In the NFL, they don't do that. It's head to head. It then goes to division record, which they're still tied, and then record against common teams. Why is it not like the Ravens beat them by 17, the Steelers beat them by like 3 or something like that, or 2? That one annoyed me today by the NFL. When I was reading about that, that one annoyed me quite a bit because it's like you beat the games against each other. And it gives there's a value to actually winning. Like in that first game, it would have given more of an incentive to the Steelers to win by a little bit more to set you up for game 2.
I think head-to-head obviously is the no-brainer.
100%.
I don't mind divisional to be the next one, but I definitely think just point differential between the two teams in those games makes sense before common opponents. It doesn't make sense to me. You're right. If the two teams saw each other off, why not go into, a quote unquote aggregate score between the two teams? I think that's the easiest way to decide, okay, who is that better team? It's not like I guess there could be a little bit of discrepancy of strength of schedule or something like that. But the easiest way to figure it out, if the two teams have played each other twice, chew up the points. See who played better between the two games.
Well, and like I'm good with it. You just said that like go with division first, maybe even. You have to play everyone in division twice. You get a home and away game. So it's the same type of thing. When you get to common games, like the Steelers get the Chiefs at home, the Ravens had to go to the Chiefs to play that first game. And that's going to eventually be part of the record of a common game, but they're not the same. There's a difference between home and away. So like that's where like go head to head. That obviously, like for the most part, if it's like a wild card spot, there's only one game against head to head. So that's easy to solve. And then after that, go to a divisional if they're divisional teams. And then I think a point differential would make more sense. But that's just also the Ravens fan in me just being annoyed that we're not in pole position. We're not in pole position for the AFC North at this moment. What else stood out to you this past weekend? Anything major that came up yesterday that you wanted to get into?
Oh, I mean, absolutely heartbroken for the Buccaneers. They find a way now to make this division back up for grabs. They pretty much could have grabbed a stranglehold, and it's heartbreaking because I have a future on them to win that division. At like plus 375 before the year started. So I'm sweating this one out big time. So that one, certainly a heartbreaker for them. I still think they still very much can win that division. I still think they're a better team than Atlanta. Atlanta looked all right yesterday. Mind you, look at their opponent. Michael Penix was fine. I think he's going to be a fine quarterback. I still don't understand why they drafted him when they gave Kirk Cousins all that money, but that's a discussion for another day. But the Cowboys defense, man, like that secondary was unbelievable. They come up with a huge win. I don't know if you really want to win at this point, but Cowboys have been sneakily actually been playing pretty good since Cooper Rush has taken over. That defense has been pretty solid. The Vikings continue to roll. A huge win against the Seahawks. I desperately need this thing to come back down to the last game of the year. Win and you're in. Or not win and you're in. They're both in.
Division.
But, for the division. Vikings, Lions, like last game of the week, that would be so much fun. That'd probably be my two biggest takeaways. I guess the other one, Commanders beating the Eagles. Obviously, no Jalen Hurts. He goes out with a concussion. I think that team could be in trouble if he's out long term, depending on the severity of the concussion. But even though they didn't have him for the majority of the game, I thought Kenny Pickett was fine. I don't think he was the reason they lost, but certainly I think Jalen Hurts probably gives them a better chance to win. But I've kind of been banging the drum that Bo Nix should be closer in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. I think Jaden Daniels put that to rest yesterday with his performance. Man, especially on that last drive. What an unbelievable ballsy performance from Daniels. 258 yards in the air, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and then rushed for 81 as well, averaging 9 yards per carry. A beastly performance for the Commanders against a divisional rival.
You're aware of Dusty's Spite League?
Yes, I am.
Has he informed you on his semifinal from this week?
No, I have not got the update just yet.
So he went up against a guy who has Lamar Jackson, got 23 points. He also had Achane at 27 points. Overall, the guy put up 144 points, who Dusty was up against. That's a good week. That's a great week.
Yeah, that's a fantastic week.
Dusty beat him by 20.
What?
Dusty had, led by Daniels with his 39 points, Dusty put up 164 points in the semifinal of, I'm in the same league, but in his Spite League, that he's going to the finals. He left 46 points on his bench still. Oh my God. This is going to be one of the greatest fantasy football stories ever told. If he when he goes wins it next, so I'm going to go with the when he goes wins it next week. That he began this whole season with one thing in mind. He had names, and he was going to go through them, and he's done it. 164 points to 144. The other guy had nothing else. That's an unbelievable week. That should win you every single week. But Dusty beat him by 20. A no sweater, if you will, in fantasy football. So he was very happy with Daniels. He was texting me going I need a big second half from him. And, well.
He got it.
So.
Sometimes you just got to tip your cap. The better team won that day. It's very reminiscent of some of those Chiefs loss. Josh Allen has a near perfect game, and you still find a way to lose. So congrats to Dusty. Good luck in the final. I guess we'll be cheering for him, but
I want it because I want to see him the first show that he gets to talk about it. Yeah. I want that. I want him to just go off after this entire season that he had one mission in mind, and it wasn't to win it necessarily. It was to just get his revenge on everyone else, and he might do it. It looks like he's gonna do it. You're right about the Vikings though, and it's going to be they got the tough matchup this week coming up. They get the Packers. But who would have ever imagined that we can get to a final game of the season? And as good as the Detroit Lions have looked this season, how we all think that they're the top team in the NFC, they won't be able to rest players potentially because they need it for the division and ultimately that first round bye. What a season by the Minnesota Vikings, who everyone would have thought coming in, it was over. They're going to be going for the first overall. Because, they have the injury to McCarthy. What do you make of the Vikings season?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been such a good story, and I think it's been a story that's probably hasn't been talked about enough because of some of the other unbelievable seasons we're seeing, like the Lions. The Lions have been a great story. The Chiefs just finding ways to win. The Bills taking a, quote unquote, should have been taking a step back or a retooling year. They end up winning the division. So I don't think enough of us are talking, maybe not us, because every time I come on this program, it seems like I'm picking the Vikings to win and cover. I'm talking about how, Haas and I were both on Kevin O'Connell a couple weeks ago to be coach of the year. Now it's minus 1,000. It's not just, look at the quarterback. Sammy Darnold. Everyone thought his career was done and written off. What does this team do now? Do you pay him? Do you keep McCarthy? How do you let this guy go? But also, how do you pay him when the quarterback of the future is waiting to be the guy? Is it a bridge contract? Is Darnold even going to get a bridge contract? Like, this is just I think this story is just going to continue to evolve no matter what happens or how this season does finish. But to me, yes, offensively, they've been great. There's no denying that. But what Brian Flores has done with this defense is remarkable. They are getting after the quarterback. They're the heaviest blitz team in the NFL. And the way he is disguising coverages has just confused quarterbacks all week long. And they show no signs of slowing down. Sure, they had a little bit of a lull there in the middle of the year. They drop a couple games and have a couple of tight games against some really bad teams, and Darnold doesn't look as great. But like, to me, this is bar none the best story of the year, and I need it to finish in a even better need to finish it in a better way in the regular season with a one-game showdown, not just for the division, but for that number one seed. Because I think with how loaded the NFC is this year, that number one seed is going to go a long way.
And that likely, I think, would get flexed into the Sunday nighter for that last game. The last game of the entire season, we would just get Lions and Vikings, and that would be just epic. Speaking of minus 1,000, Green Bay Packers, minus 1,000 on the money line tonight against the New Orleans Saints. They're 14-point favorites in this game. I actually, there's a couple combo cards on Coolbet right now that I really like. But how do you approach this game tonight?
I normally hate betting big spreads. Look at the example of that Bills game yesterday. Like, you think everyone's saying like Bills can write down a number. That's what they're going to win by. Like, these guys get paid to play too, right? Like, these guys are pros too. This might be one of the situations where I go against one of my principles and not bet these big double-digit favorites because, one, I'm really high on this Packers team. I think they are a really strong dark horse to make a deep run here. But like this, who the heck is even playing for the Saints at this point? Like, no Carr, obviously, he's been out for a while. Kamara's out. Olave's out, Shaheed is out, Means is out, and I've heard now MVS is questionable as well. Like, this should be a rout. Like, do you really believe that Spencer Rattler can go into Lambeau Field and keep this one within 14 points? Sure, the backdoor cover is always a scary thought, but with the way the Packers are playing, the way that they need to continue to win, I really don't see a world where this one is a close one. I think this could be a ugly Monday nighter. By halftime, you're thinking of maybe throwing on a Christmas movie instead of watching the second half of this one.
So a couple of the combo cards on Coolbet, stocking stuffers. You have there's three anytime touchdowns, Reed, Miller, and Dalps, plus 2,147. I love that. I just love that little thing to throw out there. But the Grinch one, which is Love with an 1+ interceptions and Rattler with 1+ interceptions at plus 228. Just a perfect Christmas theme there with that one. I love that.
Yeah, it's I love that one as well. It's the Grinch who stole the interceptions, and I think it's a no-brainer. Like, Spencer Rattler is going into that hostile environment against a very good Green Bay defense, and as good as Jordan Love has been, he is your epitome of a gunslinging Packers quarterback. Like, he's going to throw probably, a bunch of touchdowns, but he's also probably going to have one play where he forces the ball. That's just the nature of the way that he plays.
How they lost last year.
Yeah.
How they got knocked out of last year. They had the ball. They could have went and made their way to the Super Bowl, but tries to force a throw, intercepted.
Yep. Yeah, and he might do it early. He might do it late. Like, normally I think I would be thinking, like, with a 14-point spread, I'd be thinking to go heavy on some Love props here. But I think there's an opportunity where, because how bad the Saints' rush defense is, they might just, run the ball to oblivion here. So I really like the Grinch one. Obviously, I've got my own Patty's primetime parlay for tonight as well. I've got Love 2+ passing touchdowns. I've got at 3.5 field goals. Obviously, that's a principal play when it comes to primetime games. And then most rushing yards in the game, Josh Jacobs. I kind of just talked about it. I think with the game script, if they get up big and they want to control the clock, and if they want to just grind this one out and come out victorious, Josh Jacobs is going to get the rock quite a bit, I think. So boosted from 396 up to plus a 456. Pretty good number on that one. I was pretty happy once the guys, Evdog, the boys, were able to boost that one up for me.
If you go to Coolbet, it just shows up on the sports lobby page at the very top. There's your combo cards. You could also go under exclusives, and there's Coolbet exclusives, and they got a 4 more exclusives for today's game, ranging from plus 325 to plus 1250. So be sure to go to coolbet.com to check those out. We don't have a lock shop until next Monday, so we're going to miss this upcoming week. But you know, the lines are up there. It looks like all the games, I believe. For week 18 that is to coming. On Christmas Day, you got the Chiefs, who are 2.5-point favorites against the Steelers. The Ravens, 5-point favorites against the Texans. Interesting, both the favorites being the road teams in those ones. What are you looking at early on this far away from, well, it's actually not that far away, but what are you looking at going into this week right now?
I was really hoping that Steelers number would be at 3 or 3.5. I would definitely consider betting that. I think the Ravens are going to win, and I know I kind of just poo-pooed the Texans, but it's a short rest week for all these teams. But sometimes when you look at that, it kind of plays towards the home team. So the fact that you're getting 4 teams on short rest, I almost was thinking maybe you tease up that Texans number to like a 6.5, buy the points at a 6.5. And it looks like there might be some movement coming on here with the Steelers and Chiefs game. It looks like we're currently locked there. That number, hopefully, if it's going up, I might have to bet it.
Oh, geez.
Steelers plus 3. It looks like the line is moving right now, but I would consider maybe doing a little bit of a tease between the two home teams. Again, I think Chiefs win. I think Ravens do win as well. But when you're dealing with that short rest week, with the distractions of Christmas and whatnot, I wouldn't be opposed to getting some points with the home dogs and playing it that way.
The Ravens are a very unique team. This season, they're like no one else against teams that are below 500. The Ravens' point differential is plus 20. Their point differential against teams above 500 is plus 66, which is by far the best in football. The Bills are plus 6, or like it was going into this weekend. So I don't have this weekend in there. The Bills were plus 6 going into this weekend against teams above 500. The Lions were plus 27 against teams above 500. The Ravens, for some reason, they know how to find a way to beat the good teams or put up points against good teams. They struggle against the poorer teams. I would put the Texans more in that good team naturally. So actually, I as a Ravens fan, I wouldn't actually be too alarmed by the 5. I maybe take it down to a 4.5. But I do like that one. We are still waiting on the Chiefs and the Steelers to come up here. There's actually Chargers only 5-point favorites against the Patriots. That one just like they're a team that's going to need the win. They're still trying to lock down their playoff spots. Does that surprise you at that number? Oh, sorry, you caught you at the wrong time right there.
Had the cough, the old cough ball. Cough button curse. That one definitely surprised me. I guess maybe with the Chargers having to go all the way across the country to the Patriots, maybe that's a bit of a cause for concern, and maybe it's a bit of a mirage when it comes to, well, look at what the Patriots were able to do against a very good Buffalo Bills team. I look at the other way. They have a really close heartbreaking loss, a very emotional victory, obviously. How can you get off the mat after that? You're basically, Jared Mayo's using all his ammunition in that game. It's a rivalry game. Go into Buffalo. Let's be spoilers. Let's not allow them to try to get that first seed. Yada, yada, all the rah speech that you got. And then, you go back home against a Chargers team who has a lot to play for. So, yeah, a little bit of a fishy line. I think the travel goes into play with that, but I certainly would not be afraid to lay the 5 with the Chargers. I guess with the way that they're built, they're not really built to blow teams out, but a 7-point victory is not a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. So I think you kind of are on to something there. Maybe it's a fishy line and they're begging us to take the Chargers at 5. This is where we need the fisherman himself, Jake Bolamoss, to sniff out those fishy lines. But I think I'd be taking the bait here with the 5 and -109 on the Chargers.
The other one that's kind of maybe baiting me in a little bit is right on Coolbet. It's right below it. It's Broncos. It's Bengals. Bengals, the home team. The two teams fighting for one of those final playoff spots in the AFC. But the Broncos +3 is plus money. It's +101. Like, there's just something like the Bengals. Joe Burrow's a great quarterback. He's had a really good year, actually, even though the Bengals have had their struggles. But they haven't. They don't have really those signature wins this season. The Broncos, a rough game against the Chargers. Last week on Thursday night. They have had some good games. Like they should have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs a number of weeks ago. To get plus money on a line too, where it's only and you're getting them for 3 points, and even if they lose by 3, you get your money back. You get that push. I don't know. There's just something about seeing the Broncos at +3 at +101 that I'm kind of like, that's not a bad one.
I think you buy the 0.5 point and take it up to -120, and that's still palpable with that juice. Because then if they lose by a field goal, which to me this seems like this is going to be a game that comes down to the end. I've been on record that I think and I'm a Josh Allen stan. I'm a Josh Allen fanboy, but I've been on the record. I put my money where my mouth is. I placed a future bet this is probably a month now ago, but if the Bengals are in a playoff spot, I think Joe Burrow is for sure in the conversation for MVP. It's just his team has been so bad. Yeah. His defense has been so bad. I think when you look at the old adage, defense travels, well, the Broncos certainly have a strong defense. They didn't look great against the Chargers last week, but I think they should be able to at least try to slow down Joe Burrow in this potent offense. But I think Bo Nix and the Broncos offense have been able to put up points. I don't think they're going to struggle. So, I think I'm going to buy the point, and I think I'm going to go with the Broncos at -120.
For anyone interested, like the big game after Christmas, the Christmas Day games, one of the big games that we will see we've talked about Packers, Vikings. Vikings home team, they're 1.5 point favorites against the Packers, who are the Packers. Have they locked up their playoff spot yet? No,
they have.
Packers still haven't. Really. So tonight they'll lock it up, I would think.
Right.
Or it's going to come really close. Although the Commanders are 10-5 and they don't have their playoff spot clinched either. That's interesting. I would have to find the ESPN playoff machine. But
one I'm looking at is Cowboys-Eagles.
Yeah? Because of the Jalen Hurts injury?
I think it's got to be. I think that's got to be the number. If Hurts is playing, maybe it's bigger. But look what we saw from the Cowboys defense last night. I know you're taking a complete step up dealing with the Eagles to the Bucs, but I think the Bucs offense actually has been fantastic this year, and Baker's been great. Cowboys have been frisky. They've been plucky. Cooper Rush against that defense is a little bit scary, but that second half, and if Jalen Hurts isn't playing, this is probably a line where you need to make a decision quick, because once we see news, the line it probably will change. But I'm having a hard time not betting that 9.5 with the Cowboys. It's one that you got to just plug your nose and take, but that defense looked really good yesterday, man.
Well, Kenny Pickett too, he got a little banged up yesterday as well.
Yeah, so you're right.
So there is a little bit of concern for both quarterbacks. So, yeah, I think there'll be some sort of reports coming soon, I'm assuming. If you're thinking that, Hurts isn't going to play here especially.
Yeah.
To get 9.5, what if you 10 is 119. So yeah, 9.5 points is minus 110. That's a pretty nice, that's a big margin to win by. And basically it comes down, could Saquon Barkley lead the Eagles to a 10-point victory, double-digit victory at home? That's what you're kind of banking on. But also, how
many yards does he have left for the record? Is it reachable in one game? I feel like they might be.
Saquon Barkley record. Will you buy the record? Will you agree? Because he's got to do it this game. Me, if he doesn't do it this game, I don't care, because he gets that extra
you're right,
game.
The extra game. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're totally right.
So he has 1838. He needs to average 130 yards over the next 2 games to break it. So that's 270.
Okay, so he can't get it this game. I mean, he could.
He'd have to have an amazing game.
The way the way the Cowboys defense played last night, I don't think he's getting 270. I don't think that's happening. So yeah, you are right. It is tough. It's the extra game. It's still an amazing. It's probably it is in this era the best rushing season we've seen.
It's incredible,
and you can't take that away. You cannot take that away. I think you could make a case that he could even be the MVP. I really do. But there should be an asterisk beside it because of the extra game.
Here's the Eagles have nothing else to play for. They're not losing second spot. Well, I guess they could still get first. It's going to be tough, but they could still get first. But that's where I look at that plus 9.5 and go, at what point do we see the Eagles start maybe resting some players too a little bit? And are they going to do anything this upcoming week, or is that going to all wait till the week after? And so that 9.5 is actually, as we keep talking about it more and more, it's becoming more like one that you jump on early and you might be happy about it. Come
you could shoot yourself in the foot though. It honestly could be where you're eating crow and you feel like a dummy. But okay, it looks like the Steelers Chiefs number opened back up. Just a little bit of a change on the money line, not much on the spread actually at all. So Chiefs minus 159 on the money line, Steelers plus 135, and then it's still set at a 2.5 point favorite for the Chiefs minus 118 and plus money at plus 2.5. So if we say so it did, so half a point now. But if we see, I missed it. I missed my opportunity, Matt. If you were to buy it up to 3.5 minus 143, whereas 5 minutes ago it was 143 from the minus 120. So
and what was it earlier?
It was right at 3. So it's moved half a point. So and I don't see it going the other way.
Yeah, plus 3 dead on is minus 120.
So I think then what we were talking about, then at least if it's by a field goal, you get your money back.
Yeah.
To me, though, I think
where's the fun in that?
Yeah, I know. I think for me, my Christmas Patty G's tease, I'm going to do this. And no offense to your Ravens. I think they're still going to win. But I think I'm going to tease up the number. I'm going to go, let's see here. Do I want to do a full-on tease or just buy a couple of points? I'm gonna have to get in the lab here. We can't do it on air. Same thing, though. You mentioned no lock shop, obviously, the rest of this week. But what we will be doing is our group chat will be buzzing. We're going to put a couple of parlays together. That way, at home, folks, you're going to still be able to ride with us I don't think we'll get anything up for Christmas. Maybe Huss might put up a Chiefs parlay that he wants to put up, but we will have our lock shop partner parlay. We'll have a house callers, and we'll make sure we'll get that out on social media so you guys can ride with the lock shop boys.
Just a few more minutes left. Rattle off a few things here. Did you see any of the PNC? Woodses versus Langers?
Yeah, I know. It was really, so 2 things. One, that's always such a fun tournament to watch. I don't really like sit on the couch and dive in. There's just so much other things going, but following on social was great. All-time clip of Charlie hitting that hole in one. Really cool finish. Langer wins his 100th tournament at this event. It seems like. I will say, we talked about asterisks earlier. A little bit of an asterisk for me for Langer. He got to tee off ahead. Yep. I don't love that. This is a guy that plays at Augusta still. He's got to go for, I know he's coming off a serious, what is it, Achilles injury at like 74? I don't know.
He was
Didn't sit well with me.
Champions League, I think, this past year.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable, but he is coming off an injury. But I don't love it. I don't care how old he is. I'm sure that didn't sit well with Tiger. I'm sure Tiger at the time, was showing face that he didn't care. But I know the competitor that he is probably thought that was BS that he got to tee up further.
Did you see the lie Langer had in the bunker?
Oh my God, yeah.
Where he teed it up on those things. It's obviously scramble play, but he was looking for any edge that he could get.
Any advantage, man. I know. It's brutal, man. Brutal. But it's a fun event. It's a family family affair. But I like it though. I think it's fun.
It's a great little you get the heroes to the PNC to just, and then it's the tournament champions or whatever, the century that comes up, and it's a nice little palate cleanser. Get you back into golf a little bit, but okay, we're not fully ready to go. We still got a few more weeks, and then I think it's usually was it the Sony Open or something that gets going, and then it's okay.
Yep,
golf season's
we
back.
Get the Hawaii swing. But this year, and I don't know your thoughts, and this might be too big of a discussion to even start, but we now have the TGL, the golf.
Oh,
league.
I can't wait.
So you're in to see it.
I want to watch this.
That? I'm okay. Awesome. Me too. So I at least want to give it a chance. I know there's going to be so many golf hardos that are going to hate it, which again doesn't matter. This is I live in it. I'm a golf bettor. I'm on golf Twitter. I see all this stuff. I get it. I understand. They poo-poo everything.
Yes.
I'm giving this a chance though. This seems like this could be a lot of fun.
I heard from some they say that this might change a little bit of golf. I heard in person it is supposed to be maybe incredible. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe the TV won't be as good.
Is insane.
No, but if I could get more golf, I'll take it. And maybe I don't know. It's going to be different, but they have an actual bunker with real sand in it. So that they still have to hit some of these shots and stuff. There's going to be the crowd. It is going to be fun. I'm going to absolutely give it a chance. I was disappointed it actually didn't happen this past year. So, but the fact that it's now here, and they got good names. It's not like we got a bunch of no ones in this. These are the names of golf that are playing in it. And it's not like all of a sudden the PGA Tour is going to go away and we're going to move indoors.
Yeah. No, that's not happening.
Yeah. So that's early January, no? Or
I think January 7th is the first tournament or I don't even know what they're calling it, but yeah, I think the first because Coolbet's got future odds right now for the overall championship, and I believe LA, which is Colin Morikawa's team. So it's individual games.
That's
so
the
the first
thing
game is January 7th.
I don't like the teams, that they're representing cities. You're playing in one location. It's not like we're going on the road. Yeah, and playing, Bay takes on New York in the first one. It's not like Bay's at home to New York. You're all in this one location. I don't know why we're representing cities.
I guess because some for the LA team, it's it's Colin Morikawa who's from LA. You've got Jupiter Links, which Tiger, that's where he calls home now. What is it? Atlanta's Justin Thomas's team. I get it though. I get it. I don't love it either. I would have been fine with just team names, or if they went Team Nike, Team Titleist, Team Callaway, something like that, I would have been fine with too.
Oh, that would have been
a little
bit
cheesy, but yeah, I thought that's one way that I thought maybe you go TaylorMade and Team Titleist and break it down that way. Team Cobra, I think they're on to something
every year.
Yeah, exactly. And there's definitely, this is obviously clearly a way to try to combat some of the team event things that Live Golf is doing. I don't know if you could do this individually anyways. To be quite honest, I think team format's probably the best way you can do it. But yeah, having the names, it's not you're totally right. There's not going to be a dome in Atlanta and they go into Atlanta and play this. Maybe one day, I don't think so. But apparently this building, this facility is just insane. Absolutely nuts. So
we've got about a minute or so here. Any thoughts on the World Juniors that's upcoming?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We already have futures up for the World Juniors. We've got odds for top 3, tournament winner, and then group winners. We also have player specials out for just about all the top teams, and then top tournament goal scorer, point scorers. Obviously, being a Leaf fan, Easton Cowan certainly piques my interest. I think it's plus 800 for him to lead the tournament in goals. I think I'm probably going to play that. Ryan Leonard is the outright favorite at plus 550. The American top point scorer is Easton Cowan at plus 750. Gabriel Perreault is plus 800. Kind of like Callum Ritchie, Oshawa General at 10-1, possibly for him to finish top points. His total is at 10.5 at minus 118. I think I might play that as well. So this one's always a fun tournament. It's tough to bet Canada to win outright. Just, at the number, it's plus 145 for them to win, 500 to finish in the top 10. Kind of thinking maybe Finland to finish in the top 3 at plus 115 is a little bit of a fun bet. So I haven't done a full deep dive yet. I probably will do that later this afternoon and put some of my futures out on Twitter.
Done Christmas shopping, or are you one of those last minute?
I am done. I am all done. Amazon is a great thing. The only thing I got to do is I have an in-store pickup. One of the gifts Santa wouldn't have been able to deliver by December 24th. So I got to go drive out. Actually, as soon as we finish this show here, got to go drive up to the mall, pick up, and I am done. All I got to do is wrap.
Well done. And that will wrap up. Merry Christmas to you, Pat. Have a wonderful Christmas.
Thanks, you as well.
All the lock shoppers out there, on behalf of Pat, Jake, Huss, Dusty, Merry Christmas to you. Have a wonderful holidays coming up. It's going to be full of lots of sports. We got college football, we got NFL, we got NBA, the NHL will return, the World Juniors, the Spangler. Lots happening. The lock shop will return next Monday. I believe it'll be Huss and Jake that day. Yes. But until then, coming up next, it will be the Oil Stream. Reed and Hernan with you here. But once again, thanks for tuning in to the Lock Shop. Merry Christmas to all of you and yours. On behalf of Pat, I'm Matt. Have a good one. I will talk with you next week.
Merry Christmas, everyone.